Follow the model.
Got one? That's a nice one.
Okay, well, I don't know how to do it, so.
Okay, so how long are we gonna need?
Right. Right.
So that's the solution.
Right.
So how long are we gonna need?
Right. That could be some kind of
I think it should be, it should go with Jack.
less than medical.
Jack?
Yeah.
Jack?
Okay. Speak silly, but why not? Yeah.
Come on.
That's what I'm saying.
Like the man's daughters didn't put her toys up and he just slipped on a skate from the stairs.
Well,
Technicality, he slipped and fell down the stairs, just something random.
Violet Ravens.
Take it up with the letter thinking like you.
Again, it's laying down in the
He ate or drink.
There has to be some kind of definition.
Thought about it. I thought that it was eaten.
Is he?
But it wasn't.
Man in a shower.
Yeah, like a follow-up question, like which one died?
Did he drink or did he eat it? He drunk. So then I would have answered.
As he's trying to enter the home, or as he's going inside the home, or
Oh, yeah, as Jack.
Yeah, was there anything to drink?
Yeah.
as he's Jack,
You could follow by saying
Jack
was
dies
it a
as
drink
he's
or
in
cold, and then you can read find out reasons why it made it cold.
So
Got it?
We weren't thinking.
Write it down.
Pressure.
Right.
because you assume it doesn't matter. That's what we're trying to get past. You know? Do you guys have your
Trying to word it.
trying to word it?
Yeah, we want to make it too.
A couple more minutes.
A couple more minutes, guys.
Fell down the stairs.
Okay.
Let's try to wrap it up in the next 2 minutes. We got it?
Yeah.
So I think it's going he has something and if you want to
what about like Jack is trying to sneak into the, this is all abstract, no?
Doesn't matter yet. Just don't want to give you data.
Right.
We're trying to word it because we don't know how.
We got the translate, we're
Yeah.
just trying to word it.
Okay.
Jack is trying to sneak into somebody's home and he dies.
Except theirs was even more, like someone obviously was in ice cream. Like they were trying.
There's a lot of irrelevant details in that, like who is the person who poisoned these things.
Yeah, I think that, yeah,
Like none of that all matters.
Like if the man had actually been out and trying to out or
Yeah.
What's that?
If you don't have anything written down now,
Yeah.
start writing.
Okay. I think they're good.
Are they good?
They're good. Alright, so we'll do.
Alright, so here's what we're going to do. Each group is going to send one ambassador to another group. We'll go this way, I suppose. Try to send someone who hasn't been Quizmaster so that everyone gets a chance to play as a player at least once today.
Did you want to do one of these? I don't want to go.
yeah.
Wait, do you want?
No, I don't.
Yeah, you go. You got it.
Go with
Alright, remember, yes, no, or relevant are your answers.
Alright, everyone pick their ambassador.
We need to specify these.
No.
You don't have to write the solution down so long as you know it.
Well, yeah, start with one over there.
No, you.
Oh, on the back, yeah.
Wait.
What
So
group am
someone
I
from your
going
group
in?
to go over there.
Oh, Lindsay's.
She should just rewrite the question.
Alright, so we'll take maybe
I'll just.
the next,
Oh,
we'll take
okay.
25.
No, that works
The next
good.
12 minutes to do this.
Alright.
Okay. You guys want me to read
If
it?
anyone finishes their puzzle really early and wants to do another one for fun, we have some
on the ground with a red mark around his neck.
You can join back in now.
Is the red mark related to how he died?
Yes. It's not in human. Oops. Yes.
And Jack.
Was he asphyxiated?
Yes. Yes.
Was he
Was he hanged? Was he strangled?
That was way too fast.
Did someone else kill Nelson? Did someone else kill Nelson? Did someone murder Melvin?
Oh, you know,
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Or no.
Was the red mark made by a human?
No.
Is that the question?
Was the red mark made by an insect?
No.
Was the red mark made by an arachnid?
A spider.
No.
Some people get really technical, so I'm covering all my bases.
Sitting on top.
Was the red mark made by a mammal?
This one is
No.
so not by a mammal, not by an insect,
Not by a human?
not by a human.
Did he die of natural causes?
Was the red mark made by a reptile? Was it made by an object?
Do you cover that just for a
Yes.
second? Thank you.
Was it a suicide?
But
Sorry, just so I don't see it.
was the red mark from paint? Paint? No.
Was it a suicide?
When you say object, be more specific. Sorry, I kind of have to go back to that.
Did the part of the body
It's kind of hard.
hit the ground? Is that important?
Just which side of the mountain?
Was there a
It's
particular part
an
of the body
object,
that went first?
an
probably?
inanimate thing.
It is, yes, it was caused by something.
Okay. Was Melvin allergic to the thing that caused a red mark on his neck?
Did a human force it?
So it wasn't an allergy.
Did Melvin die from natural causes?
The part is irrelevant.
It wasn't a suicide, it wasn't.
Yes, no, relevant.
Was it an accidental death?
Was it an accident?
I would say no.
Yes. I think.
I would go back to.
Was it the other people inside that are dead now?
Did he fall out of something?
You would say yes?
Was he working?
Oh, okay, yes, you're right. Yes.
It is a allergic reaction. Okay, so that makes things different.
Does the red mark go all the way around his neck?
Irrelevant.
Did he die from a bee sting?
No.
Was the object that made the red mark, was Melvin allergic to the material of the
I
object
mean, it's a
made of?
finite
That's
number.
that's what I'm saying. It's a well
She's
thought
saying
out
no. Simon.
It's not so much important that it's 30 as opposed to 31,
Right.
but it's important that it's.
That's 30 as opposed to 1 or 2.
Right.
Falls
And that's
in
a
that
hard question too,
Yeah.
just because it depends on how you break down that
Yeah.
allergic reaction.
Did something.
Did the people that
He was found dead on the ground. Is his location when he was found dead irrelevant?
This is rapid
Could be, yes.
Yes, okay.
Is it where he died?
You have
Where he was found?
Where
Where he found where he died?
No.
But it was an accident.
Does it matter who
locked
the door?
Accidentally on purpose.
Yes.
Were the people dead before the door was locked?
Was he
That's
moved?
like.
All these dead people.
This is not a crypt.
Yes.
Sarcophagus. This is
Did this person move him?
No.
What did he
Did an animal
on
make him?
grass?
No.
Did he land on it?
No.
Did he fall?
No. Well,
It was a lion.
yes.
A lion?
Was Jack a person? Was Jack a human being?
I'm sorry.
Was Jack a person?
Yes.
A leopard, a lynx.
Was there anything else inside the cabin besides?
Was he dead before he hit the ground?
He fell.
He fell.
And you asked the question, did he die where he was found, and that's no.
He was not an accident.
Was he alive before he fell?
It was an accident.
Oh, you said accident. I thought you said no. Okay.
When he hit the
Oh, I'm
ground.
sorry.
But there's nothing else alive before he fell?
There was fire, but I wouldn't say it's so
It's not
relevant.
the
Yeah,
cause
it's
of
not
death.
the main.
There's
yeah.
fire involved.
It's just like natural
allergic to something.
Did the allergy cause
I
him to
agree
fall?
with
So I'm gonna guess it's something to do with like some kind of combustion.
You
or
should
something
focus
like
on the cabin.
You just fall out of nothing.
I don't know how many fall.
There's a question, I
Did he
think,
s-
are we coming to the end?
Okay, there was a place where they take
About
that.
5 minutes left still.
Like a morgue.
So suffer.
I kind of want to give them a.
Yeah.
I'm
Maybe
waiting
wait
for
for
it
it.
to happen like in time, but like a cabin,
Okay.
like a boat or.
No, it doesn't say they were, no, they were alive.
Was it an old
crash?
There's allergic reactions.
You guys are too
Alive
fast.
before he
It
fell.
was-
So that was a positive reason, right?
Yeah, did the fall cause the allergic
Because you
reaction?
gotta think like
No.
cabin could mean like,
I
I
wanna
think
know
like,
that.
there's boat cabins, plane cabins.
You took trade
He slipped, he didn't trip.
Yeah, wait, trade
Was he a mountain climber?
No.
Was he
They
an
I like
animal?
this.
That's fun.
Yeah.
To where he was? Was
It's
he
funny
in
because you can see
an
different ways, and like you said, it's the issue
Did he
of
die of
the-
suffocation?
Was It's just the notion that you should assume.
Right, yeah. Always check your
Unless, did you do
assumptions.
this one?
Right.
Yes.
It wasn't taking part in the record.
So talk about what you know again.
Was he walking?
So he's allergic to something.
Was he walking? What's the
Is he
other one?
allergic to something in the
Puzzle
air?
two. No, like gripping.
Was he allergic to something on the ground?
Try that
You
one.
did this one?
No.
Was he allergic to something that was around him before he fell?
Around him?
That was in his environment or surroundings
Yes.
or, okay.
Yes.
So something was in his surroundings before he fell that he was allergic to.
Okay, you can look it up and look at
Was
here.
he found outside?
Oh, okay.
He's outside, he's out somewhere, he's allergic to something.
Was he, was he trying to get away from whatever he was allergic from?
Irrelevant.
Was there a fire around, fire
There's gotta be something
around?
about the 10 feet long.
Was there like a barn or anything involved?
Where he was
It's like poison, it's like barn.
There we go.
It's the barn.
This one's hard.
That's hard.
So you guys know he was allergic to something. Why don't you think of some things that people are allergic
The
to?
question is how do
He
Right.
said bees, peanuts,
Bees, peanuts, shellfish,
strawberries.
You know those things where you put the rope?
meat.
Bully is the word. Yeah, bully.
Yep.
I can't think of, those are your most common allergies.
That would be weird though. Get bullied.
It's
It's
10 feet
long and
He died
Outside.
Outside.
Is,
fell from, so you fall from a tree. Like those specific.
is the allergy something?
The numbers are there, it's the same, but there's no way
From
you can
something
predict
outside.
them.
Oh,
And he's so far off the
Yes.
ground, that
Okay.
there's no way you can.
Is the allergy
You
a
could
food
be
item?
It's allergy.
That's all the numbers are there.
I think he'd be very tall.
Okay, so it's not inside.
He's still 3 feet off the
Well,
ground.
The allergy causes death.
Does the allergy cause that?
Okay.
And this, was the allergy the cause of his death?
I'm sorry.
Was the allergy the cause of his death?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
It's funny because you're saying.
You know what hanging is? Yeah, it's the rope.
Is it caused the
Think about asking about location.
Was it,
Was it in a tree?
did he fall from a cliff?
No.
Was he in a desert?
No.
Was he in a forest
Does
area?
anyone else
No.
watch
Was he at his home?
No.
Was he in any kind of wilderness setting?
Did somebody
No.
help or did
Was he in the water?
Yes.
help him?
Oh.
My remedial students have the wherewithal and desire to stick with
Oh, did he get stung by a jellyfish?
I think they did.
Was
He did?
Melvin was kayaking
What's
by
their
himself
whole
when he
puzzle?
fell overboard and was stung
You can't get
by
from
an animal jellyfish. He died and his body floated to a
Just a couple minutes, so hit time.
That's why he was found on the ground. That's a good.
Did you guys get it?
That job. You still, you know what, I totally this when you asked allergic. I don't know why.
But honestly, I think that if he didn't have that allergy, I think it would have gone.
Yeah, because
It would have come to it quicker. He had something.
Because
But you don't necessarily have to be allergic to it either.
Yes, I know.
Generally, if you're stung by jellyfish and you don't have medical attention, it causes
Yes, that's all.
Whether, but is that for everyone or is that just?
anybody who gets
Traffic, we're quitting.
He was in
very trouble if they don't get medical attention.
Yeah, I don't think of it, I don't necessarily think of it as an allergy. I think of it as only a certain number of people who would be affected.
Well, that's why when I said,
Oh, yeah, they
Yeah,
did like
that's
5
why
seconds.
I was thinking about it.
Thank you.
They got it right away. They were like, is he a human? No. And, oh, is he a bird? Yes.
Alright, we're done.
We're done?
We're not done, Dad. We're done.
I would just keep doing puzzles all day, but, you know, we have.
There's no website of these things, just make them up.
No, these are pretty well known. I don't know if there's any one particular website, but if you just search lateral finger puzzles, you'll find a lot of them.
So, just to have some discussion going on, I have a few questions for you. So, what was the most difficult thing about asking questions of a particular scenario or topic that you had no idea about? you were just presented with a kind of random fact, and then you were supposed to figure out what happened.
Relating your experiences and trying to take your experiences and relate it to that scenario.
Okay. Yes.
When you get stuck in a dead end, finding the spot that you need to come back to and moving forward again.
How did you find that questions from the other members of your group helped you to think about what was going on?
I think everybody has a different way of thinking, whether it's lateral thinking or whatever, but everybody finds their own, like, what's important to them about the situation. And it may be something that you may not think that is important, but in the end it is, and it's just take from a different perspective.
Does anyone else want to add to that?
I think it was hard, like, knowing like what your scenario is, and then actually if you're the person that knows the answer, like making sure you're saying the right thing, because at first for ours, I accidentally said no when I meant to say yes. Actually listening to what the questions are being asked.
Okay.
I think it's nice the irrelevant part too, because like there are, at least for me, math problems there where they throw quite a bit of information. That it feels like it's there to throw you off because it's not where you need to focus on. And a lot of the students, in my experience, they will focus on it, they're not what they don't need to focus on.
Right.
Okay. Thanks.
I think this was kind of useful in terms of setting your life career goals. If you think of scenario as your own life, and you're trying to hit the goal, but you don't know where you're going, and every time you're hitting it and you're turning around, and I think it was quite helpful too.
I have two more questions, and it's kind of piggybacking on what you just said. Why do you think it was difficult? Why do you think it's difficult for us to approach something that we know no idea about, but we know that we are fairly educated people? Why do you think it's difficult for us to approach a situation like that and saying that, it's going to be difficult, but what do I do?
Subconscious assumptions.
I mean, sometimes it's like when, if you ask a question, I mean, it's like when we finally zeroed in on the fact that it was the stairs, then that made it. But when you first start, you have such, it's like when you ask somebody, do you want to go out to dinner? No. Okay, well that doesn't tell me what they want to do.
Okay.
Oh.
So it's, I mean, if you sit there and go, do you want to go movies? Do you want to go there? I mean, you just, it's not helpful for communication when you're going, but that's what I felt, like we're doing. It's just like, you're just sitting there until you sort of
get somewhere,
but it's not helpful.
It's kind of like that.
It's like mental
That's
battleship.
a really good analogy.
Yeah, it is.
You're just shooting in the dark and hoping you get something that matters.
But then when you find something, then
then you have to, you go off from that place, but it's like, mental battle, that's a great image.
But the good thing about it is though, it trains you to keep asking the question. You want to figure out what's going on. You keep asking that, but you keep shooting in the dark, and then once you hear bing, you're like, I'm just going to keep going in that direction. Once we figured out it was the stairs, what can we think about stairs? Was it a banana peel? Was it water? Was it a toy? Yes, it's a toy. If it's a toy, is it an adult's toy? Is it a kid's toy? And then you can start to build. I've been doing this for a while now, so I think in those terms. But I promise you, if you keep thinking like this, you will approach a situation with different angles. Lastly, my last question to you guys is, how did you feel once you either figured out the scenario or once it was told to you?
In some way, you kind of feel a little, at least a little bit stupid because you're like, that makes sense. On the other hand, it's like, that's just so random solution. Like, how are they supposed to get it? So, and then you feel proud, like, I finally got there,
Doesn't it feel good?
It does.
When you're really trying to solve a problem, like I happened with me before, and I'm like, I get excited. The student is just like, come on, I'm waiting.
Right.
I don't want to do the thinking, but then when I finally got the answer, I just go, yeah. They look at me like,
Cool.
believe me, if you try, you feel pleasure in solving it.
Right. All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming out.
I have just a few more things to say. Does anybody have anything to add to that? No? How to relate this to tutoring? So what I wanted you guys to get out of this session today is just to keep in mind that when you're tutoring someone, when you're tutoring a student, think of yourself as a quiz master who knows the solution, who knows the answer, and your student is the person, is the group in front of you. That student has no idea what you're talking about. That student is just with that one scenario and they're trying to figure it out. So just keep in mind that it's not always easy to ask the right questions. And as a quiz master, you were able to feed that person, the group, with a little bit of guidance along the line to tell them that yes, you are on the right path. So as a tutor, keep in mind that you are able to give the student, hey, go in this direction. Think about it this way. How about if we approach it in this way? So keep in mind that you are able to do that. And when you know something, for example, it's really easy for you to just say, this is really simple. But it's also easy for you to say, I don't know why you're not thinking about it like I am. But remember, we all think differently. So that person is not thinking like you are. So keep that in mind. The student is not absolutely seeing that 2 + 2 is 4 the way you see that 2 + 2 is 4. I think of it 2 + 2, 2 times 2, 2 to the second power. That student might think it as 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. It's the same thing, but just keep in mind that everybody thinks about things differently. And one last thing that I want to close off with. A couple weeks ago, our boss, Renee, told us that learning occurs when one goes through the process of questioning and discovering the answer by themselves. So when someone continually asks questions about something and can think about it in several different ways, that's when true learning occurs. It's not just about, hey, what's up, how you doing, what's the answer to 2 + 2, it's 4. That's not learning, that's something else that I don't know.
Dissemination of information.
Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I wanted to add that, as in this game, first when you're trying to figure out what the scenario is, you're asking the stupid questions like, is it I do want to go to the dinner, for example, like as you are saying. And this, as a student, when you're a quiz master, when you're assigning, when you're teaching, when you're tutoring, and you're like acting as a quiz master, it's okay that the student asks these stupid questions. And that's, sometimes the students have reason to ask for stupid questions. For example, like they are taking different classes, and they might be learning one thing and focusing on one thing, and they're trying to relate, as in the case of, this what is called brain plasticity, and they're trying to make connection to what they have already learned. And I think it's reasonable to ask this.
All right. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you very much.